Last night we got crushed, not just here in Berkeley Heights, but in this part of the state in particular. Sadly, 2 losses of life in Plainfield in a vehicle that was swept away, and they sadly, the deceased were extracted. Thank God no injuries or loss of life here, and we're not aware of any loss of life elsewhere, although we're still in constant communication with a whole range of towns and counties. Not all in Union County, but a lot of them in Union County. I'd say Somerset County is the other county where we've had a significant amount of back and forth in terms of assessment of damage and injuries, etc. This was not a power outage event. As we stand here, there are less than 3,000 outages in the state. So thank God that was not an element here. And as Tony said, that would have been a big issue in Berkeley Heights if power had been out. And thank God in most places it didn't go out. We had a home explosion in North Plainfield. Reasons why we're not sure, being investigated, but thank God nobody was home and nobody got hurt as a result. But this is, you know, we're seeing more of this, and the intensity is so more frequent and more intensity. I think Angie and her team said 6 inches of rain in under 2.5 hours in 2 waves. Importantly, one wave sort of knocked a lot of these communities a little bit off kilter, and the second one came in for the kill. And so we're assessing around all these communities and counties state of play as we speak. More weather likely. You know, we're in one of these patterns right now, hot and humid, late afternoon, early evening thunderstorms. It doesn't feel, as I stand here now, as though tonight, tomorrow, Thursday will be in the same level of intensity that we saw last night, but you never say never. The White House has been in touch this morning, which is a good sign, and we will be assessing, led by Dan Kelly, who's been on the clock since Superstorm Sandy, well before my time. We'll be working with counties and communities to assess level of damage. We're always trying to figure out whether or not we meet certain federal thresholds. It's far too early to tell. But this clearly was a significant weather event, and we'll keep folks posted. Again, the best way to sort of log in if you've got damages is to go through the community. The communities will in turn go through the county, and we will in turn work with the counties in terms of assessing that total. There's also small business, SBA potential relief for small businesses, which is another avenue that we've pursued in the past. Again, too early to tell whether or not we hit any of those bogeys, but we will be all over this as we have been in prior storms. Angie, anything you want to say?
I just want to thank you, Governor, and your team for reaching out immediately last night as we were sort of going through difficult times. I want to thank my police department and my OEM staff for keeping on top of it. I don't think any of them have had any sleep. I don't know if you've had any sleep,
I've had
Governor.
more sleep than they have, but yeah.
I just want to thank you and your team.
Thank you, Angie. I appreciate that, and it's always great to be here. I'm looking forward to coming back for a happier occasion soon. Anything that folks have? I think we'll stay on topic.
Can you offer some details about the deaths in Plainfield, please?
I don't, Tracy. Other than they were in a submerged automobile, and their remains were extracted at some point overnight or early first thing this morning.
Age.
I don't have age here.
Plainfield, Governor?
I'm sorry?
What roadway in Plainfield?
Do we know, Dan or Rob?
It wasn't North Plainfield.
No, it was Plainfield proper.
Right.
We don't, but we'll come back to you with anything we can get.
Was it on a main roadway or a side street?
Cedarbrook Park?
Cedarbrook Park.
Governor, 1 week ago at the beginning of July, there were 2 people dead on Plainfield, right now 2. What we're expecting, because the summer is still going, especially in this area.
Listen, I was on with Mayor Mapp this morning lamenting that very fact. They lost 3 folks in the storm on July 3rd and lost another 2 folks last evening. We're in one of these, we're not unique, but we're in one of these sort of high humidity, high temperature, high storm intensity patterns right now that we've been in before, but it feels like events like last night, again, not just in New Jersey, but as a general matter, are coming more frequently with more intensity. So I would just say that, therefore, everybody needs to stay alert. We're in one of those patterns right now, and we can't take anything for granted. Particularly, I said to Angie, water has killed more people in my time as governor than any other sort of weather event. Power outages, tornadoes, snowstorms. For whatever reason, water, and we don't know the circumstances in Plainfield from last night, so this comment is not directed at that, but as a general matter, this feels like there's a human nature that I could beat water. I know I can't beat a tornado. I know I shouldn't touch a down power line, but my vehicle can make it through water, or I could stay in my house, and people have paid with their lives over the time of the
change on the infrastructure in the future for all these.
I mean, we've got to we're getting, I've said this ad nauseum, we, New Jersey, we, America, we, the globe, we're getting dragged by climate. Our preferred position would be to get out ahead of it, which we've done a lot over the years to, fortify infrastructure. And by the way, as we speak, and as of this morning, there's only one track line in the entire system of NJ Transit that's down on the coastline. That'll be back up this afternoon. So our infrastructure investments and hardening of those assets have paid off. Power outages are lower today than if you had the same event 7 or 8 years ago. But when you're talking about loss of life, you got about 1,000, and we have not.
Governor, in the past you talked about doing preemptive state of emergencies. It seemed like last night a state of emergency was announced after it was declared and after rain started falling. Can you talk about the timeline?
I mean, I don't know that we had the confidence. My colleagues can interject here in terms of what would the ultimate intensity of this storm be before the storm. We put out a pretty aggressive amount of social media yesterday afternoon. Tim Hillman, Chief of Staff, and I were in a series of meetings together, and we were cranking out warnings. But it's pretty clear. And by the way, the state of emergency went for the entire state, not just for this part of the state, because other parts of the state later on last evening and through the night had significant weather as well. So you try to call those shots as best you can. Had we called it an hour earlier, I'm not sure that would have impacted things, but we obviously try to get it as right as we can.
Did alerts go out on cell phones of a flood?
I'm not sure. Yeah, cell phones
In
did.
this town?
I'm confused. I do have a question.
Hold on one second. Was that your question?
Yeah, I just was curious to know where people's cell
alerts did go out, and we were aggressive on social media.
Did alerts go out in Scotch Plains, Plainfield, and Northfield? Because I know I didn't get one.
I don't know. Where are you?
Scotch Plains.
Scotch Plains. Scotch Plains got hit. Scotch Plains was the first mayor I connected with last night. I don't know when that alerts went out in Scotch Plains.
Rami Smith with WNBC. Quick question. I know you talk about the intensity becoming more frequent with storms and what the state has done. What should people and homeowners and renters know about what they can do proactively to prepare for before a storm?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, I think it's a lot of common sense. We've got a sort of regular pattern, whether it's rain, there's a particular pattern, a windstorm, a snowstorm. Use your head. I mean, if you see water, if it says don't pass, please God. Make sure you feel like you're on high ground as it relates to a water event. Don't ever go near any down power lines. Don't assume your neighbor's going to call in the fact that your street's out of power. Proactively take steps like that. I think it's largely a common sense, a set of common sense pieces of advice.
Governor,
you talked about infrastructure.
Hold on one second.
You talked about infrastructure. There's some residents by Lawrence Drive and I think Ridgewood that are complaining about a creek in that area. Mayor, if you want to chime in, what's being done? Because they mentioned that with every storm, their basements keep getting flooded. So in terms of protecting that creek, we're adding something to that creek so that they're not heavily hit every time.
Yeah, we've been working actively with our engineering department and our DPW. Some of it is private property, and I echo the governor's words, use common sense. Last night we issued, the chief and I and the OEM director, shelter-in-place type of thing. So we're working through that issue in particular. Our DPW always goes out ahead of a storm and secures different creeks that are township property. But again, encourage residents who have that type of creek or water structure behind their home to make sure that they're doing the same types of things, making sure it's cleaned out, that kind of thing.
I mean, the long-term game includes everything from Army Corps of Engineers on certain projects to our Department of Environmental Protection as we speak, changing construction standards, to our Blue Acres program, which has been in place, which gives people the option to basically sell at an acceptable price and move out of a floodplain. A whole range of long-term steps we could take, but that's not going to help you last night if you're sitting by that creek, right?
Governor, the whole green work, that was very interesting because that's very rare for it to flow into Route 22 and onto Scotch Plains and Plainfield.
Very rare that it would flood there.
Go in. Is there any more? Are there any more factors in addition to the climate change, to just intense rain, that could have just contributed to that massive encore of that water into Route 22, where a lot of cars were?
Yeah, let me just say, I'm glad you brought this up because Route 22 and that stretch is still closed between Watchung and North Plainfield, I believe. There are 4 areas where the road is either buckled or there is significant debris, and our Department of Transportation, under the great leadership of Fran O'Connor, is cleaning that up. The answer on the specifics is I don't know yet. There is the generic issue, but you hear now constantly, Angie herself last night in our exchanges said that she had never, I don't want to put words in your mouth, you'd never seen flooding like this. You hear, or this place has never flooded before, it's now flooding. Turns out this area behind us, in fact, has flooded before. But there are, anecdotally, a lot of reports, as you just asked about Route 22 and that stretch, which may have seen water in the past, but not nearly like we saw last night. And that's the new reality. And we're getting dragged by this. And as proud as I am of a lot of steps we've taken, in both short-term and long-term steps, Mother Nature calls the shots here at the moment, and we're all getting dragged by this. I think we're gonna have to break here, if that's okay.
One last question. The coastal erosion rules approved yesterday, they gave concessions to some builders, to developers. Can you talk a little bit about that and how that comports with what happened just hours later?
I think that goes live next Monday, so it's not technically yesterday. I think we were out doing stakeholdering yesterday. It's all right. Listen, this is one of these things where you're trying to compromise. We have more people living in the state than ever before. We're a hot state, not literally in this case, but figuratively. Berkeley Heights is a hot community. It's a quintessentially hot community. We have more people employed than ever before, more businesses in operation than ever before. So you're trying to balance that on the one hand. We want to continue to attract companies and families and people to come here we're the most densely populated state in America, and we got to make sure that we're getting that as right as we can as well. And what you're seeing is these rules are playing out or a compromise to get both to continue to attract folks to the Garden State, but to do it in an environmentally responsible way.
Governor, are you going anywhere else, sir, with other damage?
I'm going up, ironically, to kick off what we're calling the Greenway in Newark, which is going to be a 9-mile stretch of old railroad track that will connect 8 communities from Montclair to Jersey City. That is intended to be a happy moment, but we'll have press availability there as well, and we're going to see, we're still assessing the damages in a variety of communities, so to be determined. Thank you all, and most importantly, Angie, to you and your extraordinary team, thank you.